Something that I've always heard people say is they can't change, or you knew they wouldn't change, when referencing another person who's trying to change or trying to break a habit and they fail. Leading me to have been thinking about change, weirdly enough, and the way I've been trying to develop change in myself over the past few years, as I found myself on some form of mental health reclaimment. But one thing that I've definitely learned is that to change, you can't just rely on moments or situations to arise that push you so far that there is no other option, but that you have to really force that change. In some cases, it's alright to utilize the heavy moments arising, but other than a few moments, what do you really get out of it? Like, you just start to coast. Or at least I feel that way. Like, you still have all the progressing thoughts and ambitions, but you're just fine with being on cruise control and not forcing or pursuing change. I realized, or at least it feels so, that the voice in your head is usually the only voice you really believe. Like, someone says you're not fat, but you think you are. They won't change your mind anytime soon. You think what you think, and the voice you have in your noggin agrees every time. I think what the weirdest thing is that even though you can want change, sometimes it still just doesn't happen. You still labor on it with that feeling of like, yeah, I know about these things and I do want to do them, but just not right now. I'll do them later. Then again, that could just be like, I guess, a simple form of procrastination. But I think it's just the ingrained habit of like cruising along, sitting back till something unavoidable makes you challenge it. Although there is quotes that would say that not facing any form of challenge equals no progress. I guess it's trying to mean that even if it feels like there is still some movement, it's really just a standstill, like a plateau for better wording. But I'd like to highlight the famous Heraclitus. I seriously don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. But he says there is nothing permanent but change, which I think kind of jests at the idea that everything fleets, money, family, love, but if you make a change, the result will be permanent. Although that's what I think is the hardest about change, is breaking a deeply rooted habit. Some days you will do exactly what you wanted to, get a little bit done of some massive project you always said you'd do when you found the time. Those glimpses are realistically, I think, just what the non-habits of you look like. And I bet it feels amazing, because I tell you, the dopamine I feel when I do that is great. The point I'm trying to make is that with it being a habit, I think it's best to sometimes try and break that with different methods. For me, a method I found to help me build things into a habit was simply increasing the amount slowly till it reaches daily. Like, for instance, I want to drink 1 glass of water a day, but I've tried doing that just off rip and it's failed. So I've decided I'll try to drink 1 glass of water 2 times a week. After that becomes natural, I'll increase it, and usually I'll find by the later stages I can probably just skip the very end ones and add it all in, as adding more water won't really make much of a difference from the norm now. Meaning I've successfully swapped my habit, which I'd say is like pretty good foundation start for any form of change. Obviously I understand there's a few situations that you may not be able to do it that way, but if you can't, then maybe that's just not your way of doing it. Another example I have, not me this time, but somebody I know, is somebody who did it all at once. They used to complain about being fat, lazy, and one day they just threw themselves into an MMA club, and now they've got a great job. They're undefeated as a Muay Thai fighter with high hopes of reaching way higher than, I don't know if he ever thought he'd be able to reach that high, or maybe it's the heights that he knew that he could reach if he just made the right changes. My point is that in comparison to me, he handled his change by just throwing everything at it. I don't know if it was just people started expecting him there or just that he really enjoyed it, but he never stopped. And that's just another case of change and how we all handle it differently. Now, by no means am I saying that I'm some sort of mental health guru or genius. I'm just a kid having a chat on his computer about a topic he's seen, dealt with, and I guess thought about extensively. And someone that has a very, very heavy belief that if you want to make a change, no matter how big or small, that you can. You just have to do it in your own way. You just have to be your own groove. Now, whether or not there was something that you could take, I'd like to know. But I think that's really as much as I have to say on the topic. So I hope you enjoy my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed the world from my perspective, I guess. But most importantly, I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you stay safe. See you there.